Welcome back to the Making the Madness YouTube channel. Sean back again for another video on a transfer commitment on this Saturday. It is Sardaar Calhoun, the Florida State transfer, headed to Texas Tech next season to play for new head coach Mark Adams. I like this move quite a bit because Calhoun, 6'6", he's a good athlete. He can shoot the ball at a very high clip from outside, 39.7% last season for Florida State in 14 minutes a game at 5 points a game. But 2 seasons ago at Missouri State West Plains, a junior college, he averaged about 18 points a game and shot 42% from outside. You can't teach that kind of size and shooting ability. He's a good defender on the perimeter. He can defend multiple positions. He's versatile on that end of the floor too. He brings a lot to the table, and Florida State, he fits what Leonard Hamilton wants perfectly. He's that kind of guy, your prototypical 3-and-D kind of guy that he made Devin Vassell into an NBA player. But it's not the worst thing for Sardaar Calhoun to transfer because he has more of a chance to become a focal point of an offense somewhere else, and I think he's going to be that at Texas Tech. But when you look at the roster, they are almost in a roster crunch in terms of wings with who they have returning and who they've added. You look at the roster. Assuming Matt McClung's gone, you have Mylik Wilson starting at the 1 transfer from Louisiana. He's going to be a very high-level point guard in the Big 12 for the next few seasons. I like his game quite a bit. Did a full video breakdown on him. Go and check that out. Then at the shooting guard, do you go Kevin McCullar, who started every game last year? Yeah, you almost have to, certainly. So if you're starting Kevin McCullar, a double-digit scorer last season, he's a veteran. He's been with the program for a while, so you start him at the 2. And then at the 3, do you start Adonis Arms, a transfer from Winthrop? Do you start Davion Warren, a top 10 scorer in the country last year at Hampton? Or do you start Sardaar Calhoun from Florida State? I say you start Calhoun, but there's a scenario where you can almost go small ball. I mean, they don't have a bona fide star at the 4 spot. KJ Allen's a guy that is going to get a lot of buzz. I think he's a solid player. I want to see it, though, because he's not a perimeter threat. So I think if you put a guy like Davion Warren, who's not a true 4, he's a true wing, or you can put Adonis Arms at the 4, even though he's more of a guard wing kind of guy. If you put one of them as a small ball 4, I'm curious to see how that plays out. But then you have Marcus Santos Silva at the 5 at 6'7". That's a really small lineup. I think you probably go Chibuzo Agbo at the 4 or add another 4, a true 4-man. That's the only point of weakness on the roster I see because there's just not a ton. There's no really good true stretch 4s on the roster. Allen isn't a shooter. Agbo, not a shooter. So you don't have a stretch 4 there. Allen's 6'6". He's strong. He can drive. But the shooting just, I don't know. I would like to see it turn around this season, hopefully. But I think he has a ways to go before he's a starter for Texas Tech next season. Agbo's probably the guy at the 4. But then you look at the bench, you have Chandler Jacobs, a high-level shooter from Dallas Baptist transferring in. He's going to be a key piece off the bench. He could probably be the 6-man. And then Adonis Arms comes off the bench next to him. And then you can't forget about guys like Clarence Ndalne, a guy that's a high-level defender. He's pretty highly regarded within that Texas Tech program. I think he's going to be a guy that continues to garner minutes this season and maybe play close to 20 minutes per game this season because anytime Texas Tech was in a pinch this season, you saw Ndalne come into the game and play pretty stout defense. I think that's the kind of role he can play. He's going to be a pretty solid player throughout his career. He's only a sophomore. He's going to be a junior next season. And then Avery Benson, obviously, rounding out the rotation. I doubt he'll get a ton of burn, former walk-on, but he's a guy that, good locker room guy. He's also a solid defender, not much of a scorer. But Texas Tech is in for a pretty solid season. I don't know where I would place them in terms of the Big 12 right now. They're certainly behind Texas. They're behind Baylor. They're kind of in that mix with Oklahoma State. They're close to Oklahoma. They're kind of in that mix. Like, if you told me to pick one team between Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech, I would probably lean Oklahoma State, then Texas Tech, then Oklahoma, but they're so close I could be convinced one way or the other just by looking at their roster a different way. if lineup combinations can definitely change what I think about certain teams. I think Oklahoma State's probably the best of those three, but they're all tournament level teams. The Big 12 could be one of the best conferences in the country once again. Mark Adams is in for a very good first year in Lubbock as a head coach, replacing Chris Beard. Definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, have a good one.